Lion King walk-up music feels like Mufasa. Feels good. All right. Crossroads, let's talk about Fiona. Let's just get this out of the way right now, because I know that's actually why you're here, right? So Fiona, it's amazing. Fiona Fix, Fiona Friday, Fiona all day long is what we do. But that's not what it's always been at the zoo. It hasn't always been Fiona. My role at the zoo, Vice President of Facilities, so I oversee all the design and construction of all the new projects, and then I support the team that actually gets things done at the zoo, maintenance, security, and all that. But 13 years ago, when I first came to the zoo was a total disaster. Total disaster. Financially, employee morale, our efforts on sustainability, our relationship with our neighbors in Avondale could not have been worse. At the time, we had a lot of changes. Thane Maynard took charge. Dave Janicki, myself came on board, and we've made a lot of improvements. The two things I want to talk about today that are part of my personal and professional journey is sustainability, and specifically the piece in Avondale. So 13 years ago, our efforts on sustainability going green was zero. Nothing. Not a bit. Today, 13 years later, we're the greenest zoo in the world. By a lot. That's right. Your Cincinnati Zoo, greenest zoo in the world, by a lot. And it's because we're not as lazy as we used to be. That's kind of what it boils down to, right? Because laziness and sustainability don't work together. Because sustainability is about progress and pushing and efficiency and change and right? So we're getting after it, doing a lot of crazy things. But one of the things that's in my personal journey at the zoo, I keep bumping up against, was this thing about environmental issues and social justice issues, constantly coming up against each other. Didn't know what was going on, but the more I dug into it, the more it started bothering me. And I'll give you a very specific example. So, are you all aware of the fact that we poop in our drinking water? No, we don't. Yes, we do. So, we have the oldest sewer system in the United States. Did you know that? One of the things we're very proud of here in the city, oldest sewer system. So, rainwater, sewage goes to the same pipes, overwhelms the system. We have to direct discharge into the river. That's where we get our drinking water from. So, we literally 15 billion gallons right in every single year. It's disgusting. The good news is we intake our water upstream from where we poop in it. So Louisville. However, before you get too excited, you probably know where I'm going with this. Pittsburgh has the same problem we have. So every year, and I mean every year, not only do they pound us in football 2 or 3 times a year, they are dropping deuces in our drinking water. And we don't even know. We're like, they're laughing. We're like, what are they laughing at? Literally, it's disgusting. Every city has this issue in the Midwest, so that's why the Gulf of Mexico is the Midwest toilet, right? So it's a huge environmental problem. It's funny, but it's not. It's a huge environmental problem. However, the other issue in our town, just like every town in the United States that has these issues, the system just backs up too. So sewage in a river, but the systems back up, and then you have sewage coming out wherever. That wherever, in a lot of cases, in people's basements, because that's the lowest part of a lot of these systems. So sewage in people's basements, can we all agree that's disgusting and a problem? There is a direct correlation between the chances of you having sewage in your basement and your income level and the color of your skin. Direct correlation, right? Say yes. Yes, Mark. It's always that way with sustainability issues, environment, always. Lead in the water, lead in the paint, lack of access to fresh food, indoor air quality, asthma rates, on and on and on and on and on. Environmental problems always negatively disproportionately affect those of low income the most. Does anybody else in this room have a problem with that? Please raise your freaking hands. That's a huge problem. The good news is there's practical solutions to all these, right? So some examples of what we're doing at our zoo to solve these issues. So at our zoo, we contribute to the CSO issue, combined sewer overflows. We contribute that in Avondale. So next time you're at the zoo and you're checking out the meerkat exhibit in Fiona, you're standing on a 400,000-gallon cistern, right? This was a project we put in several years ago that collects all the rainwater in that area, and we pull it out of the system so it's not going into the sewers. We clean it up, and we put it in Fiona's pool and polar bears and all that. So Fiona swims in rainwater all the time. So the nice thing about that, it's out of the system, out of basements, out of rivers. It's actually saving us money because we don't have to buy that potable water. So it's like, oh, that's great. Well, that's so cool. Makes such sense. Why is everybody doing that? Nobody does this because it's really freaking hard. It's complicated, and this is a good example in this scenario where it's actually illegal, technically, right? So lots of back and forth with the city and our sewer district, and because we're awesome, we said, hey, we're doing this. 3 years of back and forth, 3 years of being told no. They relented. We got a variance, and we did it. 2 big take-homes for me that I want you to hear today. One of them is, if you want to have a significant impact on anything and anybody, not just in the sustainability world, but just in general, you have to be willing to break the rules. You will never, if you stay within the guardrails, you'll never do anything that truly matters. That's my honest opinion. I see it over and over and over again. You have to be willing to break the rules. And it's kind of fun too, right? So we are the ultimate rule breakers at Cincinnati Zoo. So there's that issue in Avondale and the sewage in the basement. So then taking a step back, the relationship the zoo has had with Avondale over the years, terrible. Could not be worse historically. 20 years of lies and miscommunication and arrogance and all this other stuff. Somehow I got thrown in the middle of it, like, hey, Fisher, the white guy from the suburbs that drives a truck and listens to country music, let's throw him in there. That makes a ton of sense. It's like, hey, whatever, I'm an engineer, I like to fix things, let's go. So I got involved, different things, and what I try to pull together is let's do some projects together. Because that's the only way I know to really connect bridges, especially with folks that on the surface I don't have a lot in common with. So this project we did, which was a city barn community garden, it was a weed patch, and we want to fix it up, and the Avondale Community Council said, hey, can you be involved with this? Okay, here we go. So we did, it was great. Took kind of a sore spot, made a beautiful little garden, and I took this picture the next weekend, and what it was, for me, it was like taking a moment of wait, I've been up and down this road for 20 years, and I've never seen a black kid and a white kid in Avondale doing anything together, ever. And I'm like, click, literally I go, click, kind of awkward. And I remember thinking to myself at the time, I don't know, I don't have the answers to all these challenges, I don't understand half of them, but maybe this is where we could play. Maybe this is our space where we can facilitate good things to happen, right? And it all comes down to getting dirty. So the second take home, if you want to build bridges, you want to make things better, you got to get dirty, physically dirty. Work boots, shovels, dirt, wheelbarrows. You have to get dirty. And we did that project, which led to a next project, which led to the next. We have done dozens and dozens and dozens of projects. Anything from big habitat projects to community cleanups and everything in between. And it has been what has healed some old, deep wounds between the zoo and Avondale. And a lot of that's just being present, physically present in the neighborhood and being authentic and honest, right? And if you were to go to Patricia Milton, who is a longtime president of the Avondale Community Council, and say, hey, 10 years ago, if you would have said, what do you think of your zoo? She'd have been like, today, she would say, we love our zoo. And we're proud that they're here. It's all good. So that's been huge. And then that's leaked into other projects and other things. And, we got involved with the Reds and Procter & Gamble and the Reds Community Fund. We did a project in the West End. So the project we did in the West End is at the Seven Hills Neighborhood Housing Community, right? Where we took the before, which is an old parking lot, and then boom, there we go. And that, seriously, that's huge. And your zoo is essentially the project manager for these projects. So Charlie Frank and the boys pull all together, P&G, huge donations and big horsepower. But the heart and soul of those projects, like getting in there and getting dirty, is your zoo, right? And not only that, we went into the rest of the building, which was the actual community building, which is a big old rundown, nasty building, quite frankly, that happened to serve 2,500 kids in that neighborhood. It was the only place of refuge for children in the West End. They get educated there, they eat there, it's a food pantry, all these things. So your facilities team went in there, and we upgraded all the light fixtures, all the HVAC, all the plumbing. So what we're good at, we're builders, we're contractors. It's what we do. So we got in there, and what did that do to their utility bills? Cut them in half, $5,000 a month to $2,500 a month. They were then to take that money and put it back into programs and food and wages. That's the thing. So that money stays in the West End for them to continue the amazing work that the Seven Hills neighborhood facility does. And then we've done 7 of those, from Lower Price Hill, Evanston, Avondale, South Cumminsville, St. Bernard, on and on and on and on. And the number of partners and partnerships that we've been involved with has been such a blessing. These efforts are literally changing people's lives. Literally changing people's lives. Why is the zoo doing this? There's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, what's good for the city is good for the zoo. Let's just keep it simple. It's just the right thing to do, and at some point, that should be just good enough, right? Right? Yes, it's the right thing to do, so let's just go do it. Stop asking questions. Forget the meetings and the policies and strategic plans and committees. Don't ever invite me to a committee. The answer is no. Stop it. We got to get there and get dirty, right? So it's good for the zoo. It's good for the city. It's all good. It's good for our employees, employee morale. My team, the retention is incredible. The effort they give us, they give your zoo every single day is big. And it's one of the reasons is because we provide authentic, powerful, meaningful opportunities to serve. That's a big deal. Too many times organizations, institutions don't really, they say that, but they don't believe it. We believe it, and we see it every single day. So that's why the zoo allows us to do these kind of crazy things. Me personally, so I'm a family man, beautiful wife, 4 kids. We're members of Crossroads. And it's one of those things where I love my kids, and I know that all the things that we're talking about doing will have a significant positive impact on my little sphere to make the future better for my kids and my family, right? And also as a member of Crossroads, right? Get it done. That's one reason I come to Crossroads. One, Brian told him cuss us during service, so I appreciate that. I'm a contractor. I've been in construction for 25 years. I like it. He had me hooked. First one, I'm like, I'm going there forever. This is great. This is awesome. But then the other piece of that too is for me personally, from a faith perspective, I know that my final judgment, per Matthew 25, is going to be, what did you do, Mark Fisher? What did you do to support those least of these, my brothers and sisters? My answer is going to be, it's going to be a minute. How much time you got? You might want to grab a seat because we're going to go down the list, right? That's another motivating thing for me. One of the reasons I appreciate where I work and I appreciate the Crossroads community. So as I get out of here, I want you to hopefully you learned a couple things today, poop, Pittsburgh, all that stuff. Also, maybe a little window into the heart and soul of your zoo, right? We're much more than animals. We're much more than animals. We're a key asset to this community. And also know that if a little civil engineer from nobody, nowhere, with my little team can do these things, imagine the horsepower in this room collectively. All the problems in the world could disappear like that if we're ready to break the rules and get dirty and sweat. Thanks for listening. I'll see you down at the zoo.